Relevance. I will tell you the relevance, yeah. Do you know, at one point I had made the statement that I felt like the only way to stop the madness uh, in this world, right, this was early on, was to have every volcano erupt, earthquake, yada, 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 yeah. Technically, that's like the Earth's, yeah, won't exist. And do you know the story behind the Vatican sculpture, the one that the Pope sits in front of? Maybe you don't. Let me enlighten you. That is a representation. So they say that is a representation of Jesus emerging from the sea. Yes, I thought after I found that out, because I found that out like not too shortly. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to what everyone else is doing. I just do my own thing. Yeah. But since we all coexist, it's relevant. Yeah. So I thought, well, that is very interesting. No, I don't know how to gracefully cover this topic. Um, so I have worked with a lot of maps, yes, a lot. And what I discovered looking at the maps and the terrain of the land, yeah, are using two different kinds, right? The kind with roads built, right, which is a man-made thing, and then topographic, right, which is a natural design. Um, Two totally different things going on here, yes. So in the natural world, there are these natural designs that come out of it, right? And you will see them in um, like your temples, for instance. Like I always bring up Japan, outside of their temples, and also other Asian cultures have this the food dog, right? This is naturally embedded in the land. The human subconscious has picked this up, right? And has made something tangible of it, right? So they have absorbed this in their environment unknowingly and have made something tangible of it. So is most spiritual stuff, yes. On top of this natural landscape, man has built roads, they have built things in a particular order on top of this natural land, right? That is technically considered witchcraft, yes. We have people who will point out that, in the White House area, there are like pentagrams and this and that, and there's certain monuments on certain ley lines and this and that. So there is basically like a witchcraft of the government kind covering the natural world. Yes, there is. So if you're wondering why the world doesn't look better than it does, well, because the energy is being harvested and used in the incorrect ways. That is the gist of why they do that and what it's actually doing. So when you think about it, what do they do? Well, they want to suppress your spiritual knowledge, your natural world knowledge, yes. And what better way to do it than to put their own witchcraft on top of the natural world, yeah. And then the irony of it all is that those same exact people who are doing that want their cake and to eat it too. will spend forever and billions of your dollars, which are useless, building these machines in hopes to discover or get to places, right? This is just, it blows my mind. This is just how people who want it all work, anyways, yeah. So there's always like that elusive thing that they can't have because something in their actions is in opposition to the objective or the outcome. Yes. So people are going to start seeing a lot of different creatures and whatnot and things appearing, right? I had this thought that, right, it's cool. Like I was just looking through last night, right? Like it's cool for people to come up with I couldn't believe this whenever I saw it, right? You wouldn't believe like how like there's this idea that people have of me and it is just nowhere close. Yeah. It's nowhere close. Right. Because I'm even astonished at some of the things that I see because of the way that I do my own work, right? Like people make magic and sigils to summon like darker things. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know why they would do that? Because they don't actually have to see it. They don't actually have to experience it, right? Like I said, it is one thing to just kind of like internally know these things, right? Like to sense the presence of something. It is a whole other to see this with your eyes, your ears, in your space, right? It brings a whole other level of awareness and very well could strike fear into you, right? But whenever they're doing those things, they figure, well, I don't have to see it. Like, I don't have to see what I'm conjuring, right? And so what? It makes them reckless, yes. So, anyways, I was watching somebody's trail cam in this really long, like, legged thing that, like, crawled on all fours with those, like, really glowy eyes was, like, crawling across a yard, right, in plain view. Well, I listened to the audio in the background. Most people don't do that, right? Listen to the audio in the background to hear what was going on. And in the background of it, you can hear exactly like what group that came from. Yeah. And so my theory right now, right, is that those who conjured those things, right, since I'm deciding that this earth is a little boring and we should like move into another dimension, right? That, well, you can just see the things that you conjure from now on. How about that? So people get uh, the true meaning and reasoning of a why you shouldn't do certain things. Yes, right. Like I can tell a child to not touch a hot stove because I know that if they touch it, they're going to get burnt. The child is going to insist on touching the hot stove, right? Until it learns why it shouldn't touch the hot stove. And once it touches the hot stove, it will never touch the hot stove again. So that's the gist behind that, yeah. Now, on the other side of that, uh, it baffles me that all of this research and all of these scientists are, oh, where do these cities go? Blah, 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 blah. You know, I've said it and I'll say it before. There is like a frequency mask over everything, yes. Right? And that might have something to do with the way that the nefarious, your government, right, which are not all human, um, laid out their magic, yeah, their buildings and stuff. There's a woman who does a really good job of explaining how your government is the greatest sorcerer of all, because they are. Well, they're not the greatest sorcerer of all, but, you know, they are the most collective. Yeah. Recruiting. You got everyone recruited in their cause, yeah. That's a whole other like topic, yeah. But let's pretend for a moment, or maybe not, right? You are simply living in a dream, right? So what can you do in your dream? What can you do in your dreams? Well, you can observe and someone can give you information, right? I'll tell you what, okay. Like in my dreams, sometimes I can just be the observer and someone can teach me something, yes. And then sometimes I can alter things just by like saying it, right? Or doing it, or doing something specific in them, right? But the overall consensus is the consciousness that you keep in your sleep and in your dreams, when you can bring that into your wake state, you can command the environment and things in the exact same way, and it will do what you want it to, right? Well, Rena, that sounds so simple. Well, it's not simple in the way that everyone has been taught to view their existence a certain way. There's a lot of undoing, there's a lot of frequency ironing that has to be done, there's a lot of perception change that has to occur. There's a lot of things, right? Like it takes work. But when you do the work, you understand that the dream state and the wake state coexist in synchronicity, right? The way that I can see things in my dream and then see it like, or paint it or whatever, right? And then it shows up in my awake and conscious state, right? Whenever I'm just going about the world, right? It's the same thing. So just look at it like you're living in a dream, right? And your dream is running you. You are not running your dream for the most part. It's people's consciousness. There are so many ways to create the world that you want to live in and to see the world that you want to see. That doesn't involve like men slaughtering one another or violence or any of that madness. It doesn't. Nothing. No. It's just the mind, right? You gotta wonder why, whenever people bring up it's a psyop, it's a psychological operation, why do they spend so much time doing those, guys? Really think about it. I always laugh, right? Well, you can, won't you come? I'll throw you down a real rabbit hole. Any of them, yeah. I will throw you down a rabbit hole of life, okay? You come my way. Uh, so, all this stuff that people are fearful of or they're upset over, right? Like, you totally have control over it. You just need someone to tell you that you have control over it. You need someone to teach you how you have control over it. right? That's why I like to start where everyone else is, right? I'll deal with things, I will deal with the higher up things, like from where I am, like separately, right? But to start where everyone else is, like where they are, like emotionally and what, because that has to be under control first, right? Like that has to be mastered. So, because getting to a place of, um, well, for lack of a better term, like Zen requires a lot of like healing and inner work and understanding of the self, like, and the world around them. Yes. Like how if someone, let's say someone wanted to just come up and spew the nastiest things at you, you need to be able to be so solid in yourself, right? And knowing who you are, that it does not elicit a reaction from you, right? I see a lot of reactive uh, in the world, right? It runs on like even in psyops, right? Like trigger, reaction, right? It elicits all those emotions out of you and all that energy that you're pouring into something that could be better directed in a calm and controlled way into something else. So, teaching people how to thoroughly, um, or in other ways, have an outlet, right? Right? You don't need to go talk to another person who don't have their own shit figured out to tell you anything, right? You just need some time alone, and you need an outlet to be 100% however you are at any given moment, right? There's like some taboo around like having real emotions, right? It's like they just want to like take all of the emotion away from you, right? But it's okay, right? If something is upsetting, it is upsetting. It is okay to be angry, right? It's okay to be sad. This is part of the human experience. You are not a robot. You are not a robot. Emotions are powerful. And if you learn to direct them in the right way, the change can be powerful. Anywho, on this other dimension stuff, yeah, I'm just over. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm tired of this boring, slave-based, whatever. We're gonna supernatural this shit. We're going to turn myths into reality, and it's gonna be a magical world, right? Because, because that's the way that I want it. Hope that helps.